Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Thomas Russell from Pixologic. I'm a digital sculptor when I have the time, and in this live stream I'm presenting a long-term project that I started 9 sessions ago about creating a figurine with ZBrush. Now I am at the stage of preparing the files for 3D printing. The sculpt has been done. You can find on our YouTube channel all the past videos for the creation of this figurine, which is to be from the video game NieR Automata, a video game from Platinum Games, a Japanese studio which is kind of popular, and it's based on an illustration from Tim Lochner, which was on the loading screen just before. If you followed until now these presentations, I sculpted everything and I tried to show and really explain everything. Unfortunately, I'm now short in terms of time for this project because I need to do that for a trade show in Japan, which will be in less than 20 days. I need to prepare the trade show as well, and of course I need to print, etc, etc. Then, since the last time, I just slightly did some changes on the character itself. I will explain that just after. I did this base that you see just down the character. I slightly changed the broom and the pod, little things. I mean, it's not really something interesting for a live stream, but it allows me to move forward. Then today we will start all the 3D printing process, meaning splitting the parts, and even before splitting the parts, how to prepare, where to split, why you need to split some parts, etc, etc. After we will move to the cleaning process, the optimization, and moving to Preform. Preform is a software used for created by Formlabs, the company behind the Form 2 printer, just to prepare the model, then dealing with all the supports, preparing, and if I have the time, starting a print. I have another webcam, which is just here behind me, and I have my printer, and then at the end of the stream, in roughly 3 hours, 2 hours and a half from now, I should start, I hope, start to print. Just to finish this introduction, probably I will continue this stream on my personal channel just after that one. I'm expecting to then work for 3 hours for this stream, and then probably 2 extra hours after my personal channel, just to continue the project and then preparing as much printed files ready to be printed. Hi Kyle, good morning. Then, just before starting this 3D printing process, as you noticed, then there is this base. I will just explain a little bit how I did that. There is nothing complex, to be honest. It has been pretty quick. Everything now is done, of course, in ZBrush for R8 with for R8 P1. If you didn't notice, of course, we released ZBrush for R8, and we released a week and a half ago a first patch which improves the application. Then we really invite you installing this patch, and also some part, in fact, which has been offline, has been done with the help of ZBrush for R8 beta before. Then it's been a while that I'm using it. Okay, no questions so far. Okay, just one thing. In terms of size, you remember, if you follow my previous presentation, it will be a kind of big model. It will be a fifth, the scale will be 1/5, which will be for the character roughly 30 centimeters, and the total height for all the figurine will be 50 centimeters, which is almost 20 inches, which will be kind of big. And between, you see this character is falling, attached to her pod, and just to connect the base and the character, then I decided to use a kind of glass rod. I just purchased some stuff for laboratory stuff, which is just glass like that. Which is 20 centimeters by 20 millimeters, sorry, by 5 millimeters, which is kind of big. But you see the size of this thing compared to the size of the figurine. Then it should be nice, interesting, and quite some print to do, sanding and all this stuff. Okay, then about just starting with the base. As you can see, this is mainly a kind of cylinder, flattened cylinder with some sculpting stuff. For the kind of rock files, I used the brushes from ZBrushGuides.com. Pablo created multiple brushes using the VDM new brushes from ZBrush. Let me show you that with, let me open just a tool, because I don't want to kill my project like this polysphere. Okay, and in Lightbox, in my brushes tab, I have multiple brushes, and I should have the, I guess on this version, the ZBrush Guide Rocks. And there is some brush for free, another are just a pack of brush, and I think something like $10 for the pack. Then it's really worth the money in that. And then you have multiple brushes, which are great to do this kind of small dust stuff or minor rocks, or then directly using these VDMs. Then VDMs are mainly a brush which are using a 3D mesh to do the deformation. Then I'm loading the brush. They are pretty big, something like 600 megabytes to 1 gigabyte the brush, and you see if you click and drag like that, you can make a quick rock just growing that way. Then the idea behind this base I did was just picking the clay builder brush, just giving some volumes on some area, just smoothing like that, and then using one of these brush. I just picked that one, but it can be any other brush, playing slightly with the Z intensity, and then you can start making these rocks growing. Of course, you may need to increase the resolution. If I'm using another brush, perhaps not the VDM, but more traditional brushes like Rune styles, you have these all these cracks. Then just try them and see. You see like that, you can make everything growing quickly. You can smooth, you can sharpen stuff, and just combining all these brushes will make the environment creation for all rock stuff very easy, quick to do. And of course you can create your own brushes. Hi Mordecai, now did you receive your prize? Just keep me updated on that. Okay, then just go back to this base like that. I did multiple steps. Then you have this base and you have these robots. These robots are very simple. Of course, they are coming from the game. And what I did was mainly using the ZModeler brush with basic primitives. And you see these spheres. I did some insert meshes, and I combine everything with the live boolean. And if I enable the live boolean, then you see this result, which is pretty simple. Just a negative shape. Insert I used after some insert meshes. For these insert meshes, I used where are you? Come on, the IMM model kit that Joseph just did, and you have multiple items to insert. I did the same for all these screws. This line around is just the curved tube, which I extracted as a separate subtool and switch as a negative mesh, etc. Then when I've been done, I just generating my meshes, and I just did in fact a retopology with ZRemesher and reprojected the details. I mean, there is nothing complex in that. Of course, if you are a newcomer to ZBrush, it's a lot of steps, but you have so many videos explaining that. And when I've been done, I simply, let me go back to the base. I just use the surface noise of ZBrush. Okay, no, sorry, let me pick another brush. Like that, and I just subdivided, and I use then the surface noise and using the morph brush by just removing, adding some noise here and there, and using other brushes to do these cracks and all these kind of things. Then it's, like I said, kinda easy. The only other things I didn't I won't explain now, but I will explain for the part of the model, is I prepare this base for 3D printing. If I remove, I don't know if it's a good one, but you see you have all the robots. No, it's not the good one. Sorry, let me just pick the final one. Okay, let me just kill the live boolean mode. You see, then I have the robots here, and if I hide them, and you see for the base, I have the -1. I will bring back the live boolean mode. Okay, that way. I have the base. This one is negative, and where are the other ones? Okay, robots. Okay, the only thing I did for 3D printing is, let me just go down. You see, I have everything out, I mean, on the other side, the back part of the model, I just remove almost everything. By just doing a copy of the mesh, I just getting down a little bit, move it down, just to do kind of thickness and to avoid using too much resin. Like I will explain later, for the resin, it's something like $179 a liter of resin. Then if you can avoid spending too much resin for nothing, for parts which are not visible, you try to do it as much as possible. This stuff is just to give more strength to the glass tube, which will be here. And then you have the robots, and you have also a small, let's say, thickness all around, to be sure that I will be able to add the robot separately. And the robot, it's not visible. Let me remove, okay, they are here. This one, they are just right now, I didn't hollow these models, I will hollow them before doing the 3D printing. Then, everything I just did so far very quickly, I will do most of the same operation and actions for the part of the model. Then the idea, let me just hide the base because I don't need it for now. Base, no, let me hide everything. Same for the rods and even the pod, or I can leave the pod. Okay, it will be better that way. Then, the first step will be to define where I will slice my model and why I need to slice this model in multiple parts. The idea is, again, we will do some 3D printing, and I should be able, except the size factor, I should be able to quickly, very easily print this kind of model with the printer. Unfortunately, by doing that, I will have supports everywhere to make some parts growing, to give more strength during the printing process, and it will be a mess after to clean. Another problem is if I want to paint this model, the more part I have, the easier it will be to paint or to mask some areas before using another brush or whatever the solution you will use for painting. Then the more parts means the more tasks you will have to split your models, the more steps, but after it will be more freedom for you and an easier process. Another reason is if you are doing just big parts all together, and if you have for whatever reason a failed print, then you will lose a lot of time, you will lose a lot of resin, and you won't be happy. Then, about preparing this model, if I'm going from top to bottom, okay, the pod is one part, then I won't consider the pod for now. Okay, it will be important for later, but just for now, let's focus just on the character itself. Then you have the hand and a part of the forearm, and you start to have the claws. At this stage, what I will do is I will split my model just on this area to have the hand as a separate model and then the arm. Like that, it's easy to hide the connection. And this is one of the key points, is where you will split your model to hide as much as possible the connection, to avoid using some putty or any kind of material just to fill the holes, the gaps, and cleaning your process. How do you change when you have a subtool with a huge arrow with the start text? The start are for boolean, but what do you mean by how do you change? You mean to revert from the start? You just need to click a second time to the arrow, but please, if you can refine, just rewrite your question perhaps. Okay, then, and this part, another reason is it will be connected to the pod on just the bottom of the pod. I will need to do some connection on this area just to be sure that I can insert this hand in the pod. Then it will give me more freedom to do the attachment and the other part. Then below I have the latest parts of the arm, and you have the shoulders, the clothes for the shoulders. And if you look just below, you have all around this area a kind of connection to split between this front part and this part for the shoulder. Then if I would do that the best way, I should split in two parts, this one and this one, with a split all around here. To be honest, I think I can do everything as a single part. The only downside I see is when I will print, I need to define the orientation, which will be probably from this one to the base of the printer and then growing that way to avoid support. Then I think one item should be enough for that. I mean, one mesh should be enough. The only problems I see, and perhaps I will need to change my mind, is you see I have the hairs which are very close and even which are connecting to this shoulder area. Then I need to fix these parts, because of course I can print everything together, but it's not good when you start to have all these area being all together, and it's weird because it shouldn't be like that. I just like to change the pose and I think it was a little bit too much. Also I have the rose which is on this area which is connected. It means that I will need to refine slightly the pose, slightly the hairs, to be sure that I will have all parts just not connected to the other ones, because it will be just a nightmare to reattach everything after, and even without considering the painting process, etc. I don't think I will have the time to paint, but I need to consider this possibility. Okay. Okay, then I will need to work on that and the hairs to fix this area. Of course, I can remove the rose if I want. To be honest, it won't be visible there. Then it's not a big deal. Okay, then other split on this area. Then, of course, if I'm looking to the head will be split on the neck, just below, like that. The connection won't be visible. I will do the head by itself, and I will do the hairs as a separate model. And I will split the top part, let's say the front and top part of the hairs, sorry, on top of the head as a separate model. I will do probably this part as a separate model, and then the back of the hairs with a split you see on this area separately. Like that, I will be able just to plug everything. For the eye band, it should be probably the same print. I will just need to mask later all these areas if I want to paint, but I will keep it like that. Then for the other arm, it's the same. The shoulder will split on the shoulder, and for that one, probably for support reason, for sure, I will split just below here on this location. Then I will have one part. I will do the rose as a separate part with then a small connector. Then I will split here the other part, and the same as the other arm, I will split the forearm just on this area. While I'm here for the broom, where is the top part of the broom? Where are you, broom, broom, broom? Where is the broom? This is what happens when you are not renaming your it's here, it shouldn't be there. Okay, I have this part and this part. Okay, and for the broom, the top part will be just printing as a single file. You remember the last time I explained how to just check the model. If you notice, it's way more dense than it was before. I just did a copy of the model. I did a rotation of 180 degrees, and I just slightly move some part inside, removing some elements, which give then more volume. Then I will split just below this cylinder, just inside, and you will have the big rod of wood, I don't know the name exactly, which will be connected inside of the model. And I will do a split inside like that for the hand, and the same for the bottom part. Like that, it will be one part, second part, and a third part connected with the hand. Because having a long tube like that, it's not very easy. Then you need to be sure that if you want to print inside and then inserting, it needs to be the good size. It may be tricky. Then I will probably go to this solution. And anyway, if it doesn't work, then I can just print one single cylinder like that, doing a negative operation just to be sure it will fit the hand, and reprint the hand just together if the multiple part doesn't work. Then I have multiple solutions. My only concern is if I'm looking for the size of this one, the size is 1.76, let's say 1.8, which, if you remember in one of the presentation, I did the scale to be 100 less in terms of size to the original model, meaning that if I want to export that, I need to multiply by 100 to have the good size in millimeters, and it will be 17.6 centimeters, which is too much for the Form 2 printer. Then it will be very tricky. Of course, I can just bend like that, just give some angle to the to this tube to be more oriented, but it will be too risky. Then that's why the 3 parts makes more sense. Okay, then okay, it's great if you find the way, and then yeah, if you click on the arrow, if you click again on the arrow, it will just revert back. Then it was exactly that. Okay, then let's continue a little bit. Then I will do the bust, all this part together, then a single mesh. Oh, I did this addition, sorry, when it was offline for you. I just sculpted this robot face on the back of 2B. Then all these parts, probably the breast, maybe a second part. I'm not sure yet. Perhaps it'll be just one part. The other reason is just to simplify the painting process, nothing else, to avoid some extra taping. And I'm not sure yet. Okay, for the apron, like that, it will be just a separate part. And just below you have a part of the dress, which will be also a separate part. And you see all of them are just on top of each other. And I will try to, in fact, not I will try, I will split the body part by itself. Let me just isolate everything. Okay, like that. Let me bring back that one. And you see the top. You see, I will do a split of the body on this area. Like that, I will have a top part for the body and a bottom part. Let me just put back the panties because it will be needed. And skirts and apron. Okay. Then by doing the split of the top part and the bottom part will mean that I will be able, from the bottom part of the body, being able to just insert the skirt, and after on top inserting the apron, just to combine everything. It will mean that I will have more freedom to print just these parts, separately, being able to clean it, to sand it, to paint it as much as I will want, and the same for the skirt, just to clean everything and after doing the assembly. Then I will split the body on this area, top part and the bottom part, to be able to assemble everything. Then another extra part that I may do, not sure yet, but for the painting process will be also good, is to split just inside of the panty, to have just this part as a separate model, then connect it to the panty. And then you see for the leg, it has been split before already. Then I will have this, let me just bring back everything. Then I will split just below this part and having everything else as a single part. And while I'm still on the 3D printing process, hi Hoopla Boom, I will of course hollow a big part of my models, but not everything. As you can see, because this is quite a big print, I need to consider the balance of the model, the gravity center, and also perhaps the deformation based on the weight of this model, because it will be, like I said, 50 centimeters, and on top of this single rod of glass, I will have 30 centimeters of print with a lot of parts. And even if I'm trying to hollow everything, it will be, I don't know, perhaps 500 grams. I'm sorry, I'm speaking in grams as I'm French, which is quite some weight, and it will put a lot of pressure on the leg by itself and of course on the base. And let me just put that, removing the perspective. Okay, I'm exactly on the side of the model, and you see my rod is just aligned with the foot by itself, to be sure it's on the same direction, to give more sense. And of course I want to have the character being more on the front part of the base, like moving forward. That's why there is this angle. And to give more strength to my model, that's why, like I said before, you have this extra material which will be just not hollow, it will just full of resin, of course solidified resin, to be sure that the rod will have enough distance to be sure it won't move. It will be very it will have a lot of strength. And the same then for this right leg of my character. I will hollow this one to be sure it won't, the white will be as minimum as possible, but this one will be just full of resin. And each time I will do a connector between one part and another part, I will do quite some big connectors, not just a small one, because even if I will use some glue, I will need to avoid some stress on the model. And of course I will try to hollow everything. And it's the same for this arm with the pod. The more part I will have, the more stress I can put on these parts, then it may be risky. Then I will probably do, I don't know yet, because I need to find the material, but finding some steel rods, I mean some metallic rods to put inside, just having long rods just to give some strength. And you see, this is all this kind of stuff that you need to consider when you want to print. And of course, the bigger you print, you have more freedom in terms of details and quality, but you have more constraint in terms of weight. And still about the weight, I will add some, just inside all the robots, some metallic parts to give more weight to the base. I don't know which items I will find, some iron, I don't know yet, but plums, I don't know the name in English, sorry, to put inside, then to hide just below the robots, all these kind of things. Okay, then let's move forward and start to do some splits. I will probably start with the middle part, then really to split the top part and bottom part, or no, let's just start with the head. It will be easier to start with just the head by itself, just to show you the process. Again, I will try to show you as much as possible the process by itself, but I may not be able to show you everything because it will be very long to do, and it's already something like 30 minutes that I'm almost talking about all this preparation stuff without really showing how we'll do that. I will try to show you multiple parts, and after, of course, offline I will continue, or just on my personal channel. The only thing I will start to do first is to refine a little bit the hairs of my character to avoid being then connected to the arm and the rose. Okay, I will hide the pod, which is just here as something informative. Robots, base, road. Okay, like that. I will have less stuff. Okay. Don't forget that if you don't use the boolean, the live boolean mode, just disable it, because it will increase it will use too much CPU, then it will slow down ZBrush. Oh, some other stuff, I just refined some part. As you noticed, I modified the knees and the legs, which been very weird before. I refined this hand. I just work a little bit on the butt, on the back of the character. Then all these kind of small things, but roughly this is the same as before. Okay, then the hairs. Oh, sorry, one thing. Let me just show that on the panties. It would be more easy to see. Okay, I closed everything. All my models are just volumes now, and closed volumes. You remember the last time, like this part, trying to fill, I fill everything. And as you can see, I just remove the internal part. I use the close hole of ZBrush and nothing else. And I did all this kind of stuff. Okay, let me remove my solo mode. Okay, and my hairs. Sorry, I'm not really looking at the chat right now. I will look at that just after. Okay, then my hairs are selected, and because I want to edit my hairs, I have to remember these subdivision levels, because again, if I want to modify and deform my model, it's way easier to work like that with subdivision levels. It's by going up and down, you can very quickly and easily changing everything. You see, I'm just moving up like that. Let me switch to transparency mode. Okay. Moving everything. I think I will remove the rows here because it won't be visible. It will be just more annoying than anything else. And again, you can see this first iteration as a prototype. Don't forget that, of course, there is a cost to print all of that, but okay, it's not like before. You can print at, of course, at a smaller size, at a very low resolution, just to do some quick and draft stuff. And then as soon as it's validated, you can move forward. This is what I did. You remember to print then this part. This is just a basic resolution. It was a gray 2 resin of my Form 1 Plus printer from before. Then just try. This is a good thing. Okay, let me just select the rows and I will hide, oops, sorry, that one. Okay, and I will do a delete hidden, geometry, modify topology, delete hidden. Okay, now let's see, I still have some hairs on this area. I will just use a regular move brush and not the move topological brush. Okay, that's why always spend enough time to check your model to be sure that you won't have any kind of issues, because if you start to print and to prepare, sometimes it's way too late to fix your model. I can remove my transparency now, and you see nothing is connected. It can be very close, of course, and I can refine slightly as soon as it won't connect to the model. Okay. Ashen Creators, hi, how are you doing? Thank you for the comments. What's the story of this character? It's not a character from me. This is a character, like I said, from a video game. This is to be from NieR Automata. You can just look about NieR, and let me just type in the chat. Okay, this is very, I mean, I really love this game. I finished this game not so long time ago, the first, and I don't have the time to, unfortunately, to really play the game. I really love the character design, and I really love the game by itself, which is a very good game, at least from my point of view. This character, in fact, is a robot, a kind of android robot who is fighting other robots. Then, yeah, I think it's worth looking at this game, to be honest. Then Snoro93, when posing a character, do you begin by sculpting in T-pose and then using transpose, or you directly sculpt the model pose? To be honest, I'm not enough a good sculptor to do everything without a pose. I would love to. I need to train way more harder, finding the time to do it. I would really love to do that. Now, I did a T-pose character, and then I did the pose of this character and refine. But since the time I pose my model, I refined some part on the face, on the butt, etc. And of course, I did that already with the pose. I did, in fact, some work with scan data, which of course wasn't T-pose. I can do it, but well, it's for me less productive, and for that I need to be very productive. Okay, then my hairs are okay. Then let's move forward and see how I can work with my my head. Let me just add one extra level of subdivision. Okay, what's the matter? So I have something which is weird. Because when I'm refining, let me change of material, but yeah, it's kind of too much soft. It's weird that I have this kind of yeah, it's like my latest. Sorry, I have something which is weird. You see, when I'm going up and down, I have a kind of weird thing. Well, it won't be visible, to be honest, at this side, but I'm trying to understand when something goes wrong. Anyway, I will continue like that. Then I want to split the head, and like I said before, I have the head, and let me just show you the top by itself, the top part. I'm now in solo mode, and you see this top part, like the other parts, I closed all the openings to be sure I have just a pure volume, meaning that I can print this mesh like it is right now. And as you can imagine, I can do all my splits based on that. Okay, then I can use that as a negative model for everything. Then you see the topology. I just use a close hole on my model and nothing else. Okay, then I have that, and I have the body. Then now, starting from now, I will use a lot of duplicated part just to slice the model. I have my body. I duplicate my body just as the original model. Okay, then rename. No, the cat. No, sorry, my cat wants to go on the other side. Sorry if you hear Neko-chan. Meow. To be, or sorry for the noise. The problem is I can't really. Oh yes, I can do it. Sorry, hold on. Allez, vas-y. Allez, Nico. Come on, allez. Sorry, I have in fact a door open on the other side, and she's going outside and then going in. Okay, then I have this original. I just want to keep that as something that I can be able to reuse again and again. Then I will have this one which will be split like that. I will keep the head just alone, and this top part will be just the element I will use just to slice my model. Like that, I know it will be connected on this area. And after, I will add a kind of connector in between just to connect both parts. Then this part as well, I will duplicate this one, I move it up, okay, and I can hide everything except these two parts. Okay, then let me remove the solo mode, that's why something is missing. And now what I can do is I can use this one as the item which will cut my model and enable the live boolean. And this is what you have right now. You see my model will be just cut slightly, just all around. Okay. Then of course I can reuse that to split the arms, but as you remember, this is not really the part where it needs to be done. But I can use it as well, you see, to cut this part like I explained before. Okay. The only thing I need to consider is when I will insert, let me just remove this live boolean mode. When I will put my head inside of this part, when I will do my prints, it will, right now if I do my cut, it will be just a perfect cut. Unfortunately, when you are printing, you have some kind of tolerance to consider. Then the printer can smooth some part, you may have some support you need to send. Then it's better to give a little bit of gap in between parts, not that much, but enough to be sure that when you will plug your head, it will just plug perfectly without any kind of problems. Then to do that, what I want to do is just to have this kind of gap in between. In fact, having my head being cut not larger, but in fact smaller. Then to do this operation, this is pretty easy. This model is just used only to cut my head, and I will remove everything else. Then I can simply inflate my model then to give more thickness to this part which will cut my model. And then this small gap will be enough to just plug my head without constraint. And also you need to think that perhaps you'll have some paint on this area. Then it's important to put this gap. Then I have this top part, selected. Don't forget I have a lot of polygons already, but well, I don't care. Deformation and inflate, let me just type 1 just to see visually what is the change. You see before and after, and it's far enough. I mean, just to do my operation. This extra gap will be far enough. And you see it's going also inside, and I will have this gap all around and also on the part on the bottom. Okay, then I can do my live boolean. Of course, I need to select the good subtool, which is that one, and as a negative. Then now for the head by itself, this is a separate part. Then I can ask ZBrush, okay, now I want to process these two subtools all together. Then in my Boolean sub palette, in fact in the subtool sub palette in the group UI Boolean, I can click on this make Boolean mesh. And then now let's wait, because I have quite some polygons to process. But you see this is pretty fast. Sorry, the Boolean may break down the connection a little bit. Okay, then I should have now, this is my resulting mesh. Okay, this is just now pure polygons. I can remove the live Boolean, and you see all these polygons together, which has been just connected. Okay, I see something. Oh, okay, no, I thought on the part. I don't really like that, in fact. Let me just go back to the original model. It's not always easy to see. Yeah, this is this part because it's going in. Okay, I need to avoid part which just go that way, because if I want to insert it will be problematic. Of course, I can send a lot to the resin, but no, it's okay. Then I have the head, and everything else for me is useless. Then I can use my select lasso, and let me hide that. Let me doing that in two parts. Okay, I can go in delete hidden, then geometry. Let me use my topo menu. delete hidden, and now I just have the head by itself. Okay, of course I will need to work on the hairs and everything else, but the head now is ready to be just connected with the top. Then I can bring back, I can rename that as to be head. Okay, and if you let me just go back here. You see I still have my subtool, then I can work with other part if I want, but let me just insert my head of to be. Okay, then my head is here as a separate part. I can now remove for the other one. Like I said before, let me just hide that. If I want to connect these two elements together, I need to have this kind of connector in between. And for the connector, most of the time the simple things to do is just to use a kind of cube that will just slightly taper, and then just doing a kind of negative mesh and positive mesh. Okay, let's do that. Like that, we will see exactly how we can connect the head with this top part. As a separate model, let me insert. I'm working with my mouse right now, not my pen. A polymesh 3D, and this polymesh 3D, I will initialize it as a quick cube. Okay, which is kinda big for now. Let me display the topology, and let me scale down this one. Let me just go up. Okay, and let me subdivide it. Geometry without smoothing twice. Now we smooth. Okay, and my model now should be fine for a connector. I will delete the lowest level of subdivision, and with a deformer I will use the taper one. You see, just to do some kind of typing, and here you can just play with the curvature of the taper. Then I will use the default one. Okay, then I have my connector right now. Then let me just accept it. Okay, and this connector I can keep it for other parts if I want. Okay, this is just pure raw polygons. Subtool, rename connector. Okay, and now I will then use this connector between the head and this top part. I will duplicate as well because I want to keep the original one. Not start group. Move up. And let me put it just inside. I can use the transparency. Of course, this is way too big. The idea is to do the orientation which will be close to the way you will insert your model inside of the other part, then, which would be something very similar. Let me hide the head and remove the transparency. Okay. I'm trying to be aligned with the bottom part. You don't need, this connector can be used to give some strength when you are attaching the model, but most of the time this is really to be sure that when you are doing the assembly of multiple parts, to be sure that everything is well aligned and not trying to find the good position. Okay, then I will just put that inside. Okay, and now I will duplicate this connector because one will be positive to be added to this top part. Let me look at one thing. Okay, this one was the inflated one. I thought, okay, this one is the original one. Okay, sorry, I just revert because I don't want to have the inflated part that I used before. Okay, then this connector, and this is a positive one. Okay, and let me, okay, and Okay, this one, let me delete this one. I did the duplicate too earlier. I duplicate, and the other one will be negative. Negative meaning it will just remove the material inside of the head. Then to remove the inside part of the head, I need to put that as a negative one. But again, if I'm removing, let me enable the live boolean mode. Okay, now I have the live boolean mode. Of course, I see nothing because this is inside. Let me just hide, okay, and remove the transparency. This is what I have right now. You see this kind of connector. The problem is if I'm using as well the positive one, you see, which will be just together, again I need to put this gap. Then the one which will be inside, same as before, I will go in deformation, inflate, and adding just one. Like that I have just a difference in terms of thickness between both. And if I show you, I mean, display again the negative one, you see, we have the connector. And in fact, if there is some slightly movement, it's not a big deal because you see, it seems to be quite large, but since the head will be at, let's say, that size, it's not that big. Okay. Then now I have these two parts. I'm able to do the process of doing everything, but so far I won't do the process of removing and adding these connectors. Why? Because I have other parts to connect. If you have some question, please ask them on the chat. Sorry, I'm talking a lot. Sorry. Okay, then I can do a start group for the head and the negative connector, and for the top model, okay, I can do a start group with just below at least this connector which will be added. And of course I will do more groups for the other parts. The idea is to be able to generate as much as possible all the subtools after the boolean operation in one pass. Like that I will generate a final model and as another tool, and if I need to modify things, I can still go back on this model. The only downside is I already have 46 subtools, then I will spend quite some time in finding the good subtools and moving up and down, doing this kind of organization. There is no other solution. Okay, then let me show everything again. Okay. Then you see this process is not very complex. You need to having your part, your volumes. What I will do very quickly, some parts, just doing the same process on this arm, the shoulder. I will just do the boolean operation for the rows, which will be exactly the same process. Then I have the rows which is selected, which will be a part, and I have this shoulder left, which is also a part as well. And you remember I said that I will remove this part to be a separate part, the rows, and the I forgot the name. Well, this part, sorry, and the forearm will be a separate part. Then let's just try to do all these parts together without considering the hand by itself, but just splitting everything. Because to split this part, I'm not sure that I will split based on the part. Perhaps I will slice it. I don't know yet. Okay. Then let me hide some other parts for now. Sorry, I will spend quite some time hiding all these parts together. I'm sorry. Okay. Broom. Okay. Then. And let me remove the live boolean mode because I don't need it. Let me skirt it just to improve my visibility, of course. Okay, then first thing to look at is I have two parts. I have this top part and I have the shoulder part. Don't forget to look about your subdivision levels before doing that, because sometimes you may be at a slower resolution, while being at a higher resolution will give better result. Okay, save my project, please. Oh, let me just tell you one thing. When you are, of course, it's up to you, but in the preferences of ZBrush, you have the quick save section. And in quick save section, this is all the information about saving your project. Don't forget to click on this skip history if you want to have all the quick save being as fast as possible, and of course having minimum quick save. Of course, if your history is very important, keep it, but for this kind of project, to be honest, I don't care about saving the history, but I can increase the max save file to be not 32 but 20. Okay, and I just need to put that at 2 minutes. And of course, when you're done, don't forget to store your configuration. Okay, sorry for this part in between. Okay, then what I can do now is I have this this top part here, and I have the shoulder, this one. Then what I will do is I will try to move that as close as possible to this model, just to organize as multiple parts. You see, I have this top part, I have the positive, then I have this one, and I think this is that one. Okay, they're together, and I want to move as well the rows. Okay, Panty need to be down. Okay, then I have the shoulder. I don't want to start, sorry. Shoulder, this part, this one, this is the other part, I don't need it. Okay, all together. Sorry, this is a lot of organization. Just to let you know that for at least 1 hour, I will continue splitting all these kind of parts, and after I will move to the 3D printing, cleaning, fixing, etc. process to be able, at least, I hope, to be able to start printing probably then this part, these two parts, this one, and perhaps some parts like the skirt and things like that. Okay, I will try to keep an eye on the time. Okay, then the shoulder. Let me just bring back this live boolean mode. I hide my polyframe, and now if I want to have that one as a negative, and let me hide the body because I don't need to have the body visible for now. Okay, I have the tongue part, and shoulder is negative. Something which puzzles me is if it's positive or negative, there is no split in between. I don't like that. Then let me just look at the opposite. I will put a start for that one, and this one, I move it up, and I want to be this one to be as negative. I don't know if it makes sense for you. Okay, this is what I have right now. I just did the opposite. You see, I have this part which is sliced by this one here. This is the beginning and positive, and this one is negative. As your information, if you don't know that, each time you have a start group, which is a flag telling that starting from this subtool, everything below will be processed as a single Boolean operation, which will create one subtool as a result. Then it will just combine or subtract or doing the intersection of all the elements below, and it will generate one subtool. Then this is very important to understand this start group, and this start group is always a positive, an additive boolean operator, not negative. Okay, then you see I have this element and the top part, which will be able to just slice this model based on that one. And for this one, if I go around, I see my model. Let me hide. I have so many things on screen right now. You know what I will do is I will hide everything except these two elements. Okay, so far then you see really the cut of the model, which is nice. Something that I don't like is you see this kind of things which go up that way. It looks nice, but the problem is if I want after the print to plug everything, it will be an issue. I need to have something which will be more soft, having a better transition. That's why I need to look about this item which will slice my model, which is as a reminder the same as that one. I need to smooth the internal part. Okay, then if I'm looking at only that one, I'm switching to solo mode. I remove my live boolean, and you see this is this part you see right here, that one. Then what I need to do is to have a nicer transition in between. Then you can start to smooth, going all around. Just that way. That's why when you are working with subdivision levels, you don't have this kind of issue. I mean, it's way faster, but right now it's just raw polygons. I can't reconstruct my subdivision levels of subdivision. Then I need to smooth as much as possible. This is not the fun part. To be honest, preparing for 3D printing is very, very technical, because you really need to anticipate what your printer will do, how you will assemble everything. That's why starting 3D printing and figurines, if you never tried your printer before, it's not that easy. That's why it's very, very important to start with, let's say, simple projects, and not something which is too complex. And I'm trying to smooth a little bit, and when it will be smooth enough, I will use like the clay the clay builder brush, or another brush, just to fill everything. But I want to be as close as possible to the model. Sorry, these parts are not very fun to watch during a stream, but well, it needs to be done. And of course the problem will be the same for all the other parts. Then of course I will do the other part just offline, but at least you will see all the process. Lightbox, brushes, smooth. Where is my smooth stronger? Smooth stronger, yes, I know. Okay, this one of course is stronger. Don't forget, when you are smoothing with parts which have a thickness, that your brush is not a disc but a sphere, and then you have a high chance to smooth on the other part of the model. Then look at that. Then, like I said before, let me pick now the clay builder brush and filling all of that. And this new live boolean mode is really I mean, it's just fantastic, because before it was very, I mean, it was working, but by using Dynamesh and negative and positive items, checking all these kind of things, you each time you had to generate the model and see the result, and editing, going back and forth. And now with the live boolean, you can check everything in real time. You can modify. You will see that just later for the skirt part. You can change things in real time. I mean, for the productivity and avoiding all kind of issues, this is so much better. I'm close to be done. I'm sorry for make you waiting for this kind of part, but no choice. Okay, and now if I'm doing the same as before, let me go back with live boolean. You see, no, I don't see why. No, I'm live boolean mode. I'm in solo mode, sorry. You see, now I see my result in real time. Then the attachment will be easier and better. No issue so far. Of course, I can add even right now my connector like I did before. I can duplicate that one and put it all together. The only thing which I must keep in mind is, you see this this top part. Let me just solo it. Okay, this is the same as the one on the top. Okay, this is the same one, but I smooth this area. It means that if I'm using this one and this one for two separate parts, it will be different on this one and this one. I need to be very careful about what I will do. If it's a separate group, start groups for the head and this part, I'm fine. But if I'm using this one to split this part, this part, this part, and this one, it needs to be the same model. And it's very important, meaning that now if I want to do everything with this part, let me just move that one up. This is my new start group, not this one. I will use that one, oops, sorry, as a positive, and this one, okay, which will be just remove or added. This is very important to keep in mind all these kind of items together. Let me remove the solo mode. You see, this is what I will have on screen if this one is used as a remover, let's say, as a subtracted part to remove that one. If I'm doing the opposite, like I did before, again and again, sorry, like I said, the process is always the same. The best thing to do is better to slide that one to fit this one. That this one will be more a negative model and not a positive like it is. And you see, it's very complex to work with all the parts together. That's why it's very important to trying to be yourself organized. And sometimes you need to duplicate. Then, like I did before, I prefer keeping some part for the head, then starting with this one that I can duplicate. Okay, sorry, I try to be more clear. Okay, this one, this is a first group with the head and this connector as a negative. Then I will use this one below with this connector. Okay, starts as a positive. Then these two items here will be used for the head, for the top part, to remove that one. And now for this, let me remove the live boolean. For that one, I don't want to remove from this one this part, but I want to remove from this part this one. Then I can, like I did before, let me just switch to solo mode because I duplicated, and you see each time you start to duplicate, okay, this one is not the good one. Okay, let me delete that one. Okay, this one, I will use it as a negative item, start group, live boolean, remove my solo mode. Okay, let me hide that one as a result. Okay, then I have first group the head, first group for the top part of this one, another group which will be this one which in fact will be an addition to that one. Okay, and then I will continue later for that one, etc., etc. Sorry, this is not very easy to manage everything. Okay, then as you can notice, if you move all around, it should fit. But remember, before I said, okay, it's great if you give some gap in between. Okay, then the gap meaning that this cut needs to be a little bit smaller. Sorry, even myself, I'm trying to figure out exactly how it is. When I want to connect everything with this part and that one, you see these two parts, I need to be sure that everything will fit. Then the first thing I can do, first, even before doing that, is to be sure that everything will be more inside of this connection. Then what I can do is I can go down in resolution using my move brush and trying to put everything inside and below all of that. Let me hide. And the connection will be nicer because it will be just below and not slicing the model. And if you're not sure about what you're doing with the by that, if the result will be nice or not, what you can do is bring back the live boolean mode, and now you see, just like that, you see, moving your model, you will see the result in real time. You see, just like that. See, going up. The idea is just to avoid this kind of extra, you see, gap. That's why the live boolean is really a fantastic tool, because in real time you see exactly where you need to modify and fix your model to be sure it will be plugged exactly like you would like to be. You can change of matcap if you want to have a better view. And now everything should be under the boundary of the other model. If I remove the live boolean, let me just go around, and you see that everything is just below the boundary. Then it will be easy to connect both elements. And if I want to slice this model and having a better gap all around to be sure it connects, then I need to inflate slightly this part to be sure to remove enough material, this small gap in between. And that's why always having a duplicated part will give you the freedom. The problem is each time you do something, you need to do some modification for all the items. Anyway, I'm going here. This is what I will use to subtract, and like before, I will do my deformation. Inflate, where you just one is enough. Okay, then it will slice better my model. Live boolean. Okay. You may notice sometime that you have some artifact on screen with the live boolean. Please don't take care about them. This is just some visual artifact. Okay, oh, you see, because of the inflate, I need to refine my model slightly. Anyway, sending most of the time, your model will be far enough to do your modifications. Okay. Then, this part is okay. Subtool. And what I will need to do is, like before, adding a negative. Why have my symmetry? No, not symmetry. Why my? Ah, okay. Sorry, I wasn't on the good one. I will need to add the connector, same as before. Then I will duplicate that one. Duplicate. Move it. Where are you, connector? You are here. Like that. Let me scale it down a little bit. Rotate. Okay, I need to put that with that one, then it will be a negative one, you see, this is the result. And I need to duplicate this one, which will be the positive one connected to that one. This one will be positive. Let me bring that back, hide you that. You see, it will be this connector, like I have this one connected to the arm. And again, this one will be positive. The other one in the shoulder will be negative. Let me hide it. Come on, save. Okay. Okay, sorry. Then this one and this one, like before, for this connector, I need to inflate again a little bit. Then you see now the process is very, very similar. Inflate, put one. Okay, then this one is bigger, then the connection will be easier to do between the models. Okay. Then we start to see now the head, its connector as negative. This top part with two connectors, one for the head, one for this left shoulder. Okay. Then below I have another group which is the shoulder, the negative one. Okay. And this top part used as a negative object. And now what I will do, I will do the rows. And process will be again the same, where I use the rows. Okay, the rows. Then the rows will be also another start group, because I want to have a separate subtool when I will generate my boolean operation. And this subtool, of course, I will need to print it separately. And I will have, of course, two rows, one which will be used as a negative object to subtract to that one, and another one, of course, which will be positive, and the negative one I will put an inflate of 1 again to have a small gap and putting a connector in between. Then I have this rows, which will be a new start group as a new subtool. What I need to do is to duplicate this rows, and I will move it up to be, you see, on this shoulder. And on this shoulder I can say, okay, this is a negative one. You see now this is what I will have. I need to increase slightly the gap, then I do deformation, inflate 1, subtool. Okay, then the rows, if I display, sorry, just the rows, you see the gap we see this gap between the model. Let me see. Yeah, you see at that size, it shouldn't be very, very visible, and perhaps I will sand slightly. I think it's a little bit too big as a gap, to be honest. The problem is I can't inflate with a value of 0.5. That what you can do if you have this kind of issue. Let me just go back to this rows here, which is hidden. Let me display the polyframe. You see what you see right now, this is the negative one. Do we have subdivision levels? I don't think so. Yes, I have subdivision levels. See, I have multiple levels. I can do that at the minimum one. I delete the higher level of subdivision. I use the ZBrush, and on the polygon you can select the inflate action, all the polygons, and you see you can just play a little bit with the model. Of course, you need to be very careful about what you're doing. Then the best thing to do is not to use, because I already inflated this model. Let's just delete that one. Okay, I will just duplicate and start again with this model. Duplicate, move up as a negative, and now, yeah, I know, yeah, I have my subdivision level, sorry. I increase slightly my model. Sorry, I didn't undo. Like that, and if I display now the polyframe, you see I see this gap, but it's not as important as it was before. And of course, I know ZBrush, I know where the functionality, but keep in mind that you may have sometimes multiple alternatives. And I see something that I don't like at all with that. Let me then select the positive one. Okay. Then now my rows is here with, I don't know why I have all of these artifacts, which is weird. Let me hide that one. Sorry, I'm just smoothing slightly because I want to start the print of this kind of model. I don't know why I have all this kind of artifact. I didn't notice that before. I don't think it will be visible because if I'm showing you where is my arm, I don't know where is my arm, but you remember in the photo I presented to be, sorry, hold on. Okay, you see it was one of the test print. You see the rose is almost not visible, and with the paint on top of it, it's, I mean, well, not that visible. Then I don't need to spend too much time. Okay, then about this rose, I have on the shoulder the negative part which will be removed. Now this positive parts, and what I need to add again, this is this small connector for the model. The only thing I will do, I will use a different connector, in fact the same as before. Okay, I will duplicate, but I will transform slightly this connector. Okay, then the rows will receive this one, the positive connector. Okay, and this one as a gap inside will receive the negative connector for the start group. Okay, and this connector which is on top here, what I will do is I will slightly change its shape. Okay, and I will pick again the taper, and I will do some taping on the side with a negative one, because when I will insert the rows, there is a high chance that, okay, I don't know if it's this angle, this one, I mean which 90 degrees angle I need to select. And by doing something like that, of course this is slightly different, but it gives me a direction. Then It's kinda simple. Scale, sorry, I need to accept and go back to my Gizmo 3D. Oops, sorry. Okay, like that. Transparency. And something that I always saying to people I'm discussing with about ZBrush and 3D printing and all these kind of things, I know what I'm doing right now is very time consuming. It's a lot of steps and a lot of things to consider, and of course your knowledge will be very important. But if you are going too fast and not splitting enough, you will have way more issues at the end. And then you will spend more time about cleaning your model, sending, removing supports and all these kind of things. Then spend the time which is needed for that. Yeah, the chat is so quiet today, I agree. Okay, then I have my positive connector. Now I need to do like I did before. I duplicate this connector and I go back on this shoulder part where I want to remove the rows as just the negative part, and as well this connector for the rows as a negative part. And like before, I want to put some gap in between, and I will use again my ZBrush on this negative connector to increase the size of my model. Oops, sorry. Just like that. It should be, I think, way enough. And to see the result, this is a -1. I have the rows, I remove that, live boolean, I remove the transparency. You see, we see the gap between. Now if I hide this group, you see, oh, I don't like that. You see this kind of small spike and this garbage stuff? That's not good. Okay, then I need to find out what is it exactly. Then perhaps this is because of the inflate, and that's why I really need to look at, in solo mode, at these rows. Okay, you see, this is what we have here. And I need to clean that, and I think more important, this is this one that I need to look at. Okay, you see the original one here. I have this kind of small issue, and that's why when I did the inflate, it just increased this problem. What I need to do is giving more depth to that to avoid as much as possible the need to go inside. You see, to have this kind of hook which was in the surface before. That's a problem, and not a small problem to fix. Then what I will need to do is again display in live boolean mode these rows, and yes, it will be just separate one. Let's see if it's better. Yeah, I don't like that. Really don't like that. I need to just increase the height of that. Just try to put that as much vertical as possible. It won't be visible anyway. Then it's not a big deal, but I want to make that far from the Boolean operation part. Sorry, I need to start again this inflate operation. I don't have the choice, and because this one that I'm using as a negative part, I inflate from that one. But since I modify the original one, I need to delete these inflated rows sorry. Okay, then duplicate. I move it up as a -1, and let me delete higher level of subdivisions. ZBrush, and inflating slightly. I still have this issue, and you know why? I have just floating polygons. I'm hiding them. Then I can delete what is hidden, modify topology, delete hidden. Okay, I don't know why I have these polygons, but it means that on the original rows I have somewhere, I don't know where, but I should have these floating polygons. Anyway, I think the boolean process will clean them. I hope. Anyway, I keep that in mind. Then shoulder, negative rows, negative operator for the rows, the top part, -1, the rows, and the positive parts. And if I just go back to this top part, use the rows, let me see everything. Let me hide that one. Okay, and you see now I have something which is cleaner on this area. Okay, so far we start to have some stuff now. It's better than before. Okay, that one. Now, like I said before, I want to do this part. Okay. I don't think that Kyle is still here, in fact. Sorry. My son is sending me text files at so late at night. Come on. I'm dealing with weird and floating polygons, and projection feels bad. Yeah, of course. There is some operations inside of ZBrush, like projections and booleans, all these kind of things are Inflate. If you have some topology issues somewhere, it starts to be a big mess, and be very careful with that. Okay, then, like I said before, I want to remove this model to the other one. Then let me just solo this arm, like that, and I want to remove it. Let me just smooth everything here, and like I said before, the best thing to do is, let me bring back the shoulder. Sorry, I was in solo mode. Okay, I want to unplug, just to plug everything that way. Okay. Then the best thing to do is to have this part of the arm being negative inside. Okay, like that. Then having this one the positive, and removing the arm inside. To do that, if I'm looking in transparency mode, see that this arm is quite large, I mean very big one. Then what I will try to do is to remove, just try to change the shape to be more having kind of taper effect on top, and removing some wrinkles, I mean some folds of the cloth. And for that, let me just put a mask just to know the limit of the model, just to see where the limit roughly of the boundary between both objects. Now I can switch in solo mode, and with my regular sculpting brushes I can remove some parts. And unfortunately this one is just a big Dynamesh. Of course I could change with Dynamesh, etc., but I don't want to deal now with changing the resolution, losing details, etc. I just want to clean my model. Then to do these kind of things, I can simply just, let me remove the polyframe. I can just simply creating this kind of tube effect. I will just smooth everything to be sure to just connect without how can I say that, some peaks between the parts. Yeah. Trying to go just inside. And most of the time this is in fact faster to sculpt something like that than trying to deal with other techniques. Of course, it depends. If after you need to mold everything, the constraints are not the same. I will just do some 3D print stuff, then it's less constraint for me. And of course, I can send everything later. And again, if I want to see the result, I can put that one as a negative shape, solo. Let me remove the mask and my transparency. Okay, then I have my, let me put that on top of the rows, that way. Shoulder positive. Okay, you see, now in real time I have everything, the gap, etc. Then why not just sculpting? You see, if you smooth or even sculpt, you see the result directly with the light boolean. Then I can continue to smooth to have a nicer transition. And again, I will do a small gap to increase the hole to be sure it will plug very easily. I just need to be sure that I have some angles and be sure that it won't bulge on some areas. You see these kind of lines that you see here. I need to smooth that as much as possible. And don't forget to change time to time to from one matte cap to another matte cap or materials, because you may not notice some parts which maybe have some issues. Come on, save. Exactly, all these concave sharp corners, it can be very problematic. Okay, something also I didn't explain so far. Whoops, I don't like that. Is I will need to hollow everything to consider the hollowing of the model. Then we need to, I will explain later how to do the hollowing of the model. You see this kind of shape, I don't like that at all. Then let me go back to my shoulder and see what I can do with my move brush. You see, to move slightly. And because I'm moving the shoulder part of the model, it won't affect the model which is used to cut this part. Always be very careful about all these things that how you can clean and avoid these issues. You need to be very patient. I'm sorry, there is no other solutions. Okay, and it seems to be okay for that one. I cleaned enough. I go back to this part, which will be -1, but I need of course the +1. Let me duplicate that one, which will just a single subtool at least for now. This one is a negative, and again I want to have some gap. Then the -1 I will just do like I did before, my deformation, inflate, and this one should be enough. And you see now with the boolean we see this small gap all around the model, and it should be, I hope, fine. Okay, I don't know if I put some ergo, some connector, because of the shape. It should be, I mean, just okay. It's a big part going together. It's not really, you see if I go to solo mode, it's already have some shape. Whoops, that's not good. I love this kind of small vertices. Let me go back to my default smooth brush. Smooth, 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 smooth. Where are you, smooth brush? Smooth. Okay, I'm not sure it will be same. And when you have this kind of stuff, this is really just the problem of, you see, Dynamesh just in between, and there is just a single point. And if you can smooth that, you go in brush, you have your smooth brush modifier, and minimum connecting points you switch to 1, and now you see it's smoothing your model. Okay, I won't duplicate that to the other one because it should be, oh no, yes, let me check this one. Okay, let's fix that. Okay, done. Ah, not done. And there is another one, then I guess there is same problem exactly. I don't like that when you have this kind of connected points in between. Where are you? I'm lost. Okay. Fixed. And I'm doing that because I know it may be a problem with the boolean operation. And of course, I want to avoid any kind of boolean errors as much as possible, especially when I see them, because I have some eyes and I can understand the issues. While the boolean tool doesn't have eyes like us, and then it can generate some problem which may be tricky to solve because you need to find them. Okay. Come on, Neko. No, the cat is back. Sorry, this is definitely not the fun part of doing figurines, but this is quite important. Okay, then we have this shoulder with the rose which is subtracted and the negative connectors, for the top of this shoulder here, and then this tank part. Tank, why are you calling that tank? It's not a tank. This top part, which is -1, and now to this shoulder as well, I'm removing this model like that, and this one will be a separate model. As well, this rose here will be just separate with a new subtool and this positive connector like that, and this one will be just alone. Okay, then if I just want to see how it is right now, just check that everything is hidden. Okay, let me just put back the head like this, and the connectors, okay, like that. Right now, this is what we have, what we did so far. Okay, let me save everything. We don't know what can happen. Split. Okay, come on, save. Okay, then just to see if it's working fine, now I can make boolean mesh. Waiting a little bit, it's time to drink some water. Come on. Now, she wants to eat, I guess. Come on, say hello to the camera. Okay, and it's done. And I have now generated this umesh 2B, and I have all these items together. If I switch to solo mode, then you see the head with its connector. Okay, done. Just below you have this top part with the positive connector, the same on the shoulder. Then you have this shoulder part, everything here, the connector, and this part here. You have this part, which was of course already done, and the rose by itself. Oops, sorry, done. Okay. Then if I want to print everything, everything should be working together and being able just to be attached together. You see, it takes some time, but it's pretty convenient, because if you need to update something, you can just go back on this model, refining your model. Perhaps you need to duplicate some tool or doing some inflate again, stuff like that, but it's not a big deal. And because of the live boolean, you're able to modify a lot of things together. Then let's continue with the hand of the character. No, I will do the hand later, because if I want to start printing, I can already, let me remove the solo mode, we can already start to print the shoulder, the rose together, and perhaps if I can, I will try to finish the top part. I don't know yet, perhaps I will try to finish the top part. Then what I will do now is, in fact, I didn't want it to do that right now, but I will do it right now. I will clean this part, all the boundaries. Like that, I know I will be able to start using this part, and why not printing this part, because I want also to hollow some parts. Let me check about the time. It's very short in terms of time. What I will do. Yeah. Sorry, it takes too much time. Okay, let me just revert to this one. Okay, and this one that I'm using as a positive one, let me just duplicate it, switch to solo mode, and what I did here I will do for everything very quickly. I'm sorry for all of that. Let me just select again the smooth strong brush. Just want to separate everything, and I should have thought about this constraint when I did this part. This is what I should have done offline, but in fact I spent quite some time already offline by doing a lot of small changes and refinement. But I would like to do the skirt and the apron before moving to the 3D printing process by itself in Preform and cleaning the model. Again, if you have some time, I will continue this stream on my personal Twitch channel just after this stream. Then it will be up to you. Okay, let me just smooth everything as much as possible, and after I will fill again the holes. Yeah, I don't like that one because I have, you see, this kind of green part. what I can do is, let's try to relax deformations. No, not polish. Let's try to smooth, but oops, sorry. Yeah, smooth does nothing, and relaxing will take some time. Mistake. That was a mistake. If you have some questions so far, please feel free to ask them. And it was not good at all. Ah, too bad. I would like to know, is the stream quality good or not for you, except when ZBrush is computing heavily? I don't know why I did this kind of gap. I know it was by mistake, but not good. Well, I think I won't have the time to do everything like I wanted, because I don't want to spend too much time in that. I think I will do other parts. I will do that offline, because it's just the time to fix this kind of part right now. You see, just doing that, it's taking quite some time. And even if I'm building that, that's a good surprise, is when you are doing all this kind of stuff, then you are losing too much time by fixing this kind of, let's say, issues, which are not really issues, but for 3D printing it's an issue. And because I have so many polygons, it takes quite some time. Yeah. Okay, then I will do that later. Okay, let's move to another part. I really wanted to finish that one, but well, sorry. It takes more time than I was expecting. Let's work on another part of my model. Okay, these two parts are the same one. I have the original one. Let me duplicate that one and go down. Okay. And for this part, like I said before, I have the skirt and the apron. Okay. If I do a new start group, I display everything, remove my solo mode. Okay, this is what I have right now. Let me remove the boolean mode. Okay. Put the top to be better that way. Okay, and this is what I have. And like I said before, I want to be able to cut my model, my body around these parts, just below the top part and being able to put everything together on top of each other. Then to do that, I will first start to split my model, of course, just below the top part. Then, like before, let me just hide this part, and I want to slice the body based on, let me just hide the apron. Okay. Then what I want to do is to be sure that this part will be sliced here, and then being able to connect everything like before. Then, like I did earlier, I want to split then with the top part, then the one I duplicated, which is that one. Okay, then this one, and I want to just hide. Okay, I'm hiding these start groups just to be sure that I can see everything. Okay, live boolean mode. And this is what I have right now. If I split, sorry, if I enable this live boolean mode, I have the body here. Let me hide everything. Okay. And we slice my model that way. And I should be able to just connect the top and this part as well. But again, you see, I have this kind of boundaries all around, and I want to clean this kind of thing. Then what I can do is, of course, modifying the body itself or modifying this top parts. I will modify the body, in fact. Why? Because it will be on top of multiple parts and I won't see the result. And again, still with the live boolean mode, I'm able to pick my move brush and just putting that inside to be sure I won't see this kind of small boundaries. These small boundaries, as a reminder, this is what you see here. Okay. Then I just need to slightly move that inside. Okay. Then now this part for me seems to be okay. Correct? Then I have this one. This is a new start group. It will split my body. Come on, save. Yeah, preparing model Kainer is just saying that I never imagine preparing a model for 3D printing will be so complicated. Let me just bring you a model. I think I showed you that this model some time ago. You see this model, which is quite big, which is 32 centimeters in terms of height. And I print this model in just these two legs. The whole body with the arms like that is just one single model as a subtool. Just the two arms are separate, and I have these floating items, which in fact have been printed together. Then just, sorry, and the base. Then 1, 2, 3, 4 subtools just for meshes for that. And to be honest, okay, I'm happy with the design, but it's almost impossible to paint. I did some deformation when I did the pose, and what I really like is, of course, this kind of floating, I don't know if you see that, but this floating part. But definitely I won't do this kind of model with just few subtools now, for a lot of reasons. It's really, sorry to say that, a pain in the what you imagine to do all of that, but really the more time you spend now will be the less time you will spend after. And trust me, it's better to spend 1 extra hours, 2 extra hours, perhaps a day of work about preparing your model than trying to deal after when you print everything. Because again, like I said, printing with resin and not FDM printers. I mean, FDM printer, okay, 1 kilogram of premium filament, not 1 kilogram, 750 grams of PLA filament for my printer. This is something, it costs 30 euros, something like that, then $35 maximum with taxes. While, like I said before, 170 euros for 1 liter of resin. Then you see the price is not the same. And of course, the more you split your model, the easier to be to print, creating the support, etc. And this is the same for FDM printer. For FDM printer, I have, like I said before, you don't see it. I have the Ultimaker 2 printer, which is behind. If I want to print this kind of model, it will be just a nightmare. And of course, the more you split, it will be easier to manage all the supports. And trust me, I prefer dealing with the supports with the Form 2 and not the... Come on, Neko! Sorry. Okay, then this part is okay. What I will do, I will generate this model for now. To be sure, I will have a separate model. Let me just put all my subdivision levels. And let me hide everything except these 2 ones. Okay, and oops, no, this is just artifact. Okay, and in fact I will do like I did for the head. Then let me just make boolean mesh. Okay, done. Then I have this model which has been generated. I can simply hide like I did before. Let's do it in multiple parts. Delete hidden. Okay, and I can copy this shape tool, going here, and like I did before, pasting this shape tool. Okay, then I can hide that one. I know this is what I have. I don't, whoops, I know this is poly painting. Okay, perhaps this kind of gap should be an issue, but I don't think so. Eventually I will send that. Okay, then what I have below is the skirt. The skirt, let me put that as a positive item. Okay, I have this element on top of this part of the model. Let me just move down. Okay, then the skirt definitely will be a model which will be removed to that one. Okay, and you see this one will be connected on top of the other one, and then I will need, when I will do the assembly, to put in between all these 2 items. As you can see, they are on top of each other. Then I need to be sure that when I will insert one on top, it will just fit perfectly with the model below. And when I will put the apron on top, that it will need to fit also as well perfectly. Then it's a lot of constraint to take in consideration for now. And yes, if something goes wrong when you're doing your 3D print, when you have multiple parts, it's better to do small parts again and again than trying to reprint everything in terms of time and cost. Okay, then I will start first with, of course, the skirt and not the apron. Okay, and now this is what I have, and you see I need to be sure that this one will be below this cut part, because on top what I will have of course the top part of my model. Okay, then I will modify my skirt to be sure that it's going just roughly below the model. And don't forget that for that I will have on top then the apron, and there is the knot, the cloth knot on the back, etc, etc. Okay, then this is what I have so far, and what I will need to do is to be sure that this part will fit perfectly. Then what I can do now is switching that to negative. What you see right now is this negative part of the model, and this is what is removed from the model. And this is where I see my mistake. If I'm doing something like that, even if I'm cleaning all around, I have this kind of gap all around, and I mustn't have this kind of gap. It must just fit perfectly, just to have a kind of taper effect also on top. Then I need to edit again this skirt, and in fact moving it up, and be sure it will go inside, and I mustn't have this kind of gaps that way. Why do we have this kind of hole? And I need to work again with the live boolean mode on and off to really see what is the result. To be honest, I have some concern about this part. I think I will print some prototype in lower resolution and see just a kind of part just like that, and the top, just to be sure, testing that it will fit. It will be quick to print in low resolution, and very easily I will see if it's working or not. And because the top part of the model will be then on top of this one, perhaps I will need just to remove this part from the top part and just being able to assemble everything. Also, what I can do is slightly sanding my model manually just all around here, and be sure that it will just fit perfectly with the part below. And I think it may be smarter than trying to adapt the model for everything. Oops, not good to have this kind of angles. So I can smooth slightly. Yeah, I don't like that. This kind of just overhang would start to appear. That's why you need to consider what is visible and what is not visible. Okay, let's go back to live boolean mode. Okay, then all these small boundaries, I think I will send that. I just need to fix this kind of big part. Again, you see that the print will be at, let's say, that size. Then sending this kind of things won't be an issue. I don't think so. You see, that's a lot of constraint to consider. And if I go to oops, sorry, solo mode. Perhaps I will slightly inflate the inside part. And you see, you know what I will do? In fact, I will start to prepare this file for printing. This is one of the first files I will try to print. Now in live boolean mode, let me remove the solo mode. Oops. And see how it is. Okay, then what we'll do now is, because I'm looking for time, is I will start to prepare this model for printing. Then let me save that. We'll do a little bit of hollowing and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, exactly, Plaboom. It's a good thing to have your own printer. I can't imagine when you send your model to online printers. Well, yes and no. Of course, when you don't have a printer, then you have no choice. The only thing which is good is when you are sending your model to online printers, let's say Sculpting, that you can find in the Z plugin palette of ZBrush, they are using printers which some of them don't use supports. And one of the biggest issues with SLA printer or FDM printers, one of the biggest issue is the support system, which is really annoying. Then when you print with technology like Project or SLS printer, you don't need to deal with that. Then you can print your model with a lot less parts for your models. Then of course you can work with everything about for let's say moldings and these kind of things. But if you want to print something like you see a model like that, which is from Evangelion, Asuka, of course if you want to print that, you can print the hairs as just one part, eventually with the head by itself, but unfortunately for the painting it will be an issue. But the body by itself you can print just as a single mesh with Sculpting. They will print that. I won't never do that with my printer, but Sculpting can do that. Then there is pro and cons, in fact, by using a company like Sculpting or whatever the company is. Okay, then what I will do now that I save my model, I will print, in fact, this part and a part of the skirt and see if the assembly is working fine. Okay, to do that, I will do right now a boolean operation. I will insert just a regular cube. Okay, I will move it down like that. I put that as a negative model. Okay, and I will then this is what I have here, the skirt as a negative model. I will duplicate because I need it as a positive model. Then I duplicate my skirt. Okay, on top it will be just one subtool. I don't need to edit it. But the one which is here for the slicing of my model, let me just hide that one. Like before, I will do my inflate. Nothing new. As a negative one, then geometry, I have multiple levels of subdivision. I don't need to go to 9 millions or even 2 millions. This one should be far enough. Inflates, and I will go by 1. Deformation. I need to do macro for that. Okay, you see it changed now slightly the depth of the operation. Everything seems to be nice. Okay, in my subtools, then I have this part, which is cut by the cube and the skirt, and I have this skirt, and same thing, I want to have it just by itself. Then I need to remove the body part. Then I have this one, duplicate. Okay. I want to be negative. Let me hide that. Okay, you see, like that I have, oh, I did something wrong, sorry, this is positive, sorry, I did something wrong, sorry. I need to do nothing for that, sorry. Okay, this one is removed by the skirt, and the skirt is going on top. And what I wanted to do is just to add this cube. Okay, duplicated. Okay, slice. You see, this is the model that needs to be printed. I will even print less for the cube. Where are you, cube? I will do something like that to do it a bit less, because I just want to see this kind of assembly. I don't want to go that far. I don't want to use too much resin anyway. Okay, it's far enough. Then I have, oops, sorry, the skirt, which will be printed as a model, and I have this part. Okay, you see on top, that will be printed. This is what I will see. Oh, I need to just move down a little bit this cube. Okay, what I will do something like that. And I don't want to do that, then perhaps I will slice after. Okay, then by doing that, I should be able to see if everything is fitting together. The last thing I will do when it will be done, I will do, I can do it now, in fact. You see, I want to hollow everything for this part. Okay, if I want to hollow my model, this is the body part, which is here. I will duplicate my model, putting that as a negative. Of course, I see nothing because this is a positive and negative are together on the same position. All the vertices are the same position as well. Then I will do like I did before. Let me remove some levels of subdivision because I don't need that much. Sorry, it was already a boolean mesh, not a subdivision level, sorry. And I will do, like before, my inflate. And you see, by doing my inflate, I see my thickness in real time, which is something very convenient. The only downside is now, let me just switch to solo mode. This is what I have so far, which is a pure mess. Because of what? Let me just cancel, Control Z, because this is model which is a boolean operation with some vertices. There is some parts which are just connected together. Then when you are doing your thickness internally, you can switch to Dynamesh, nothing else. Dynamesh, perhaps increasing the resolution a little bit. Well, not enough. Well, let's say something like that. Okay. And now it should be okay to remove the solo mode, remove my transparency. Then the mess you see is because you have some polygons which are very close together. And like before, deformation, and I can do my inflate negative. You see, that way. I can update my Dynamesh. I can switch to solo mode. And eventually I can just clean the boundaries of the model. Okay, and now you have your hollowing, which is okay. The only thing I will do is I will just going through the other model solo. Well, that way, move. You see, like that, I've been able to do my hollowing. Okay. And as you can see, I have now two models, one positive, one negative. Let me go to my subtool palette. Like before, I have one group and another group, okay, with a total of 5 subtools, which will generate me 2 new subtool because I have 2 start groups visible. The other one are not visible. Make boolean mesh, and let's hope everything will be fine. Okay, you see I had some issue with my boolean operation. You see, this is what can happen sometime when you are mixing things. Most of the time, because of Dynamesh doesn't generate, let's say, model which are optimized for the 3D printing. Dynamesh is optimized for the visual aspect, not the topology. Then I will look at that. Ah, no, I don't like that. Mordekainer, yes, I saw some of their video and they use some bury the 3D model in some kind of sand or something like that. Yeah, when you're doing SLS printer, in fact, you are printing with a kind of powder, a nylon powder, which a laser will just burn locally. And then this powder is just using, I mean, it's just also used as a support. It's the same as a printer in some printer in the color. Printing color. Okay, then I have my model which has been generated. I have a weird band like that. I need to look at that. Anyway, you see visually it seems to be okay, but in the render setting you have the render booleans and you have, oh, it says there is some errors, but I should see the show issues and it seems to be okay. Okay, well, let's say I want to print that and I want to print as well probably the shoulder and the rose. Let's work with that. Okay, for now. Then first thing I will do is I will clean my model because this one is kinda big and sorry, I want to remove some part of the models. Okay, let's use my trim curve. Will it work with so many polygons? Okay. Yeah, let's avoid some extra prints for nothing because I don't need to. Maybe risky what I did here. Let's see. Okay, fine. Okay, models now are okay. What I will do, I will go in my Z plugin palette and with Decimation Master, I will pre-process all the subtools. Then as a reminder, Decimation Master, you need first to pre-process the model. Internally, it will optimize the model from 100% quality to 0% of quality. It will remove one vertex by one vertex from the maximum number of vertices to the minimum one, and then it creates a temporary model. And when you're done with this temporary model, you can say, okay, now I can change the decimation of this current model like that. Okay, I want, let's say, not that many polygons, something like 100,000 polygons, which are in thousands of polygons, decimate current. And now ZBrush will read this temporary mesh. The name is a progressive mesh. And based on that, it will generate the model. But if you say, oh, I think I removed too many polygons, then you can say, okay, I want now 200,000. Click on it. Just need to click on this decimate current and now it will just read again the file, going to this 200,000 level, pick the model at this stage, and then display in ZBrush. Okay, then just keep that in mind. For what I want to do, to be honest, 100,000 is way enough. Okay, and the other one, same thing. I did the pre-process all, then it should have done this pre-process step. Then now let's say I want as well, yes, 100,000 as well, decimate current, and now it has been decimated. Okay, you see now I have these two models which are done and ready to be printed. The next stage is to go with the 3D print hub. Okay, because I want to export this model. The first step is to define what is the size of my model. You need to consider that you have the size inside of ZBrush. Sometimes you are working visually, you are not working with real values. If you didn't follow until now these presentations, I've been working with the good scale since the beginning, with the good proportions. I'm working at hundreds times smaller than the regular size, meaning that if I have 1 in value here, this is 1 millimeter, I need to multiply by 100. Then I will update the size ratio and say, okay, this is the size I have right now inside of ZBrush. I pick that one, and it says that this model is 0.4 by 0.2 by 0.4 in terms of size. And if I want to export outside of ZBrush to the good size in real life, I need to multiply by 100. So the only thing I need to do first is going in this size options and looking at all these options. And right now it's using the size of the selected subtool. Then I have the good size, and you can say, okay, when you are computing this global size, are you working based on a selected subtool or the whole subtool? To be honest, I don't care, because I know that all my subtools are, of course, all together at a good size. Then, whatever the option. This option is very interesting. Is, let's say that you are working with a model. Let's say you have a base, and this base has a size that you already know. Let's say this is 40 millimeters for the width. Then you work on this subtool, you change the values, and then everything else will be scaled based on that one. That's why this option is very important. Then let me update size ratio. This is this one, and what I want is just to multiply by 100. Then I just need to move my stuff. Then it's not 0.5, but should be 52 millimeters. Okay, then it will be 52 by 28 by 58. Okay, and at this stage, what I want to do is I want to export my model, let's say for my 3D printer. I can, in ZBrush, I'm working with a Formlabs printer, then I can send it to Preform, which is a software from the Formlabs. I will show that after, but I'm always checking my model in a software to see there is no issues, vertices, not connected points, holes, etc., etc. Then I don't do that directly myself, depending on the model, but I just export as STL, and you have the export options, and you can say, okay, export all visible, what I will do first. As a separate file, I want to have one STL file per subtool. I don't care about the painting information. Then I will export to STL, and 3D printing, whatever the name, okay, export, and he asked me about the name, I don't care, and files have been exported. Then now if I'm launching, no, I didn't launch a good software, sorry, hold on, nope, not that one. Okay, I'm using NetFab, which is a software from Autodesk, which was not from Autodesk before. Autodesk purchased the software. This software, you have a premium version and a trial version. And the trial version, after the end of the trial, becomes the basic version, which allows you to do all the basic operation of fixing your models, checking them, and also importing and exporting. Of course, you don't have all the advanced options, but to fix your model, if there is some issues, it's fine. Then you just need to go to download this NetFab software, the full version, and at the end of the trial, just continue to use it. By each time you start, you can say, okay, I want to use it as the basic version, nothing else. Okay, then the process is pretty simple. You have this open file, you go in just to locate your models. Okay, I'm picking the first one, and then it appears inside of the software. Then I can do the same by add part. Okay, then I have my two models. You see they are at the good location. Everything seems to be fine. But if you notice, I have a kind of warning logo here, which appears with the first time I loaded this first subtool, not the second one. And you see, you have it on this error, meaning that this model has an issue. Right now, I don't really know what is it, but it has an issue. Meaning that if I send this model for printing, then the printer may be able, the software may be able to fix the problem, but it may be not, or maybe fix the problem, let's say randomly or not in a good way. And that's why it's important to fix this model inside of NetLab, which is very powerful. You have this kind of red cross, no surprise, repair, click on it. Then you have your model, and I think you see I have this kind of yellow stuff here. This is this kind of bad areas. And you have just on just apply this part repair function, and just below you have the status. You have the number of holes, shells, border edges, etc. In fact, you shouldn't have any kind of border edges because it must be a volume, then no holes, then something goes wrong. And you have below automatic repair button. You click on it and it asks you about two modes, the default one and the simple one. Most of the time I'm using the default one. I click on execute. It does the operation and it automatically updates. And you see now after updating I have one shell with no holes and of course no border edges. It has been able to fix my model. Of course right now this is only a kind of preview. You need to apply your repairs, and now of course what I want to do, I want to keep the old part or replacing this old part by the new one which has been fixed. Of course, I want to remove the old part. And now you see I don't have any more this warning. It's now repaired model. I can just export this model as a STL file, which is subtool 1. I'm replacing it. Okay, okay. And sometimes, not always, you have this, okay, some generated triangles or manifold edges. You know, this manifold edges is when there is one edge which is sharing more than 2 polygons. It can be 3 polygons, etc. Then you can optimize. It's done. Export. And now your two files have been exported and are ready to be printed. I will just continue to export slightly. No, I will just do that one. Well, no, yes, I will just do that one. Okay, I can quit the software. You see, this is very basic. You import your files. If there is an error on the file, you will have this red cross repair logo. You just need to select this model, click on this cross, you select the repairing script, you apply, and it will be done. And to be honest, if it's not able to fix your problem the first time, sometimes you can try a second time, it will work. But if a second time doesn't work, you can try to play with the manual scripts. But if you can do it, there is a real problem with your model. Then it's good to go back inside of ZBrush and see if you can find the issue. And sometimes just doing a dynamesh of the model in a, let's say, high resolution will fix the problem. Or it can generate another problem, but going back in the software, fixing the stuff will be okay. You have people say, okay, I don't care, I send to the printer, like FDM printers, because you have a lot of software which doesn't look about the errors on your models. Then it's sent to the printer and then you have failed prints because nothing has been checked. Then just keep that in mind. Model canner. In fact, my cat already jumped on one of the, I don't know the name, stuff that I have here with multiple of figurines and just break some stuff, and wasn't very happy. Okay, then for ZBrush, I leave ZBrush just open and I will launch Preform. just to explain you some process about 3D printing. Then the first thing it asks you, sorry, I'm in French. I need to see if I can switch to English, but I don't think so. Then I'm sorry, just detecting my system language. Then it asks me about the printer, the printing parameters, and I need to select my printer, which is a Form 2. The type of resin, then I will use a gray resin, V3, which is the version of the resin. There is multiple resin, 1, 2, and 3. The 1, of course, now is too old, but you have the V3 now. And you select the layers, the resolution. Then you can go to 25 microns, to 50 microns, or 100 microns, or in millimeters. This is just a test. Then I want to be as fast as possible. Then I will go with this 0.1 millimeter, which is 100 micron, and I click on Start. Then what you see right now is the volume of my printer. Then I will go to File, Open, and with my 2B, 3D Print, Test, I will load my 2 files. Okay. Then what you see right now is, of course, my files at the good scale. And it already gives you an idea about the scale of my model based on that. It made me think about, sorry, I'm going back inside of ZBrush. I'm afraid about one thing. Let me go back to this model, and I will just select that one in solo mode. I need to check the size of that one because this part is the biggest one. And what will be the size? Okay, it will be 12 centimeters, which will just fit the printer without problems. Because if you want to start to cut this kind of model, cut this type of model, start to be problematic. Okay, then everything should fit inside of the printer. You see, I didn't thought about that one. Okay, then you are in the printer, you have 2 models. You can, of course, like most software, you can manipulate, change the orientation. I need to go into different locations. And what you need to consider is you have your printer. Okay, I will show you that the printer just after with the other webcam. Anyway, of my own stream after, if you want to look at that. You see, I have here these 2 models, and below you have the building platform of the printer. Let me just bring it with me. Let me switch to that one. Okay, this is that. Okay, this build platform. In fact, what you see in the software, which is just below, let me switch back to Cintiq. Okay, this is the build platform, and you have the front part and the hinge, the wiper, sorry, area. This is where the wiper is located. But in fact, in the printer, let me switch back to my webcam. The build platform is that way, and the printer will go from down to top, and your model will grow from the resin tank from the bottom to top. Then in fact, inside of the software, you are upside down. In fact, it should be something like, I can't go that way, but I can't rotate, but okay, this is in fact the top view right now of the printer. Then you are always working from the bottom. And sorry, I wasn't showing, sorry, the good, sorry, switching between screens, not good, sorry. Then when you are like that, in fact, you are from the top of the printer, then you are in fact in this direction with your build platform. And it's not very easy to see that. And then this model need to be attached to this platform just to grow. And when it will print, the first layer will be there, and then it will grow that way. The laser will make all these parts growing together, attached to this platform. Then for each layers, it will just grow up like that and making the model. But you need to attach this model with supports to the build platform, okay, to print. You see, if right now, if I want to print that, it's, let me look about that, roughly to have an idea, this is 2 hours of print. But I don't have any kind of supports, and I need to see this model then growing, where the support will be, etc. Then you have these support parameters, and let me just click by automatic support creation mode. You wait a few seconds, let me just put that back in the printer. Okay, then I have this model supports, and let me just focus on that one. Okay, and this is what the software created for you. Then this printer, you have this shape which will be just attached to the build platform, which is something like I have the setting here, which is 2 millimeters in terms of thickness. You can increase it if you want a little bit, and then you have support which will just make the model growing. And you see you have the support here which will start to print the model, and with the up and down arrow key you can see each layers one by one being printed. And when you are doing this kind of operation, you need to check all the layers one by one, because sometimes you may have, we won't see that I think, but sometimes you have some parts which are growing not connected to a support, and then it will generate a failed print. This one I guess is not really useful, to be honest. And then you can check, and everything seems to be okay for that one. There is no surprises. My only concern is, you see here's the first layer of the model. You have this point which is connected, and quite some big parts which will grow alone. Then it will just a very simple part. And what is important to understand is for each layers, the printer will cure some resin with the laser, and this cured resin, this layer will stick to a silicone layer at the end of the resin tank. And for each layer, you need to separate this silicone layer with the last printed layers. And when you have this kind of large parts with just one support connected, it may be risky in terms that, okay, it may be have some issues to detach, and especially if this is very thin and long. Then what I will do is I'm trying to edit my support. You see I have this edit mode, so I've been very quick. And now you can just go up and see each layers one by one. Then I may just add one connection here and there. Then you have, you see now 2 points which are used to connect this part. And now you have enough strength to connect everything, and after it's enough to go for everywhere. Then you check everything, which was good. This one, need to move it more inside. And that's all. Okay, then this one is done. I click on apply the new supports, and I will do the same for that one. What you can do before creating your support is just checking, you see the orientation. You see at this stage, I'm using manually this slider and see how it's growing, which looks great, but unfortunately, you don't have any kind of continuity. You see at this stage, now if I'm moving from one layers, you have this part which is growing and that one. You need to have more support. All these kind of parts, this is not very good. And sometimes just changing slightly the orientation of the model to be perhaps more that way and that way. Let's try. You see I have 2 parts growing, and now everything seems to be, you see this part is growing alone. But well, it's a test and it should be okay. Let me create the supports for that and see how things are growing. Again, layer by layer. Then this one is kind of big, in fact, really well inserted inside of the model. It should be okay. Yeah, it should be okay as well. You see this is pretty quick because the models are very simple, and when I'm doing that I have layers of 100 microns. But if I'm printing with 25 microns of resolution, which will be a big part of the model, you have 4 times more layers to check, and sometimes something which is not visible at 100 microns may be problematic at 25 microns because it may be just some small parts growing together, and it's very time consuming. You see this part, I don't like that because technically speaking, this is well connected, but you have this part which are very, very thin to kind of holes, inverted topology. You see, it's a problem of topology with ZBrush. And for that, what I will do is, I think, it's cross. You see, it's when I did my slice of the model. And I prefer going back inside of ZBrush, going to see, not this one, but that one. You see, it's when I did the slices. And just let me pick my pen, it will be better that way. Just to avoid this kind of very small thickness. Anyway, it's not at the part where it will be visible. Then I don't really care. And nothing prevents you, like I said before, I want to keep the same shape, but I have some topology issues. Then you can go back in geometry, increasing the Dynamesh resolution, which is not enough right now. See, before, oops, sorry, and after, I don't see the difference, but now I'm in Dynamesh and I'm able to fix this kind of problem which are outside, which won't have an impact on, come on, Thomas. Always fix your problem before starting a print. If you see something, just update. Just spend some time, because there is nothing which bring you more frustration than that having failed prints. Okay, then I can, like before, the plugin, decimation master, same process, pre-process current. Okay, and decimate current. Now I can go back in my 3D print hub, update size ratio, this is a good one. Now I can export to STL. I don't remember which one it was anyway. Oops, sorry. I want to export only the selected one. Export to STL. Okay, I go back in NetFab, or let's just try by importing directly in Preform. You will see, because Preform, at least, has some option to click the model. Okay, your model seems to be damaged and requires some fix. Do you like to Preform? Do you like to Preform to fix your model automatically? You can click on it, and it says there is some issue with the model about the print size or units or things like that. Okay, you know why? Because when I did that, where is the model? Okay, this is here. You remember when I did that, I did my update size ratio, but I didn't change the scale to be like that. Then export to STL. And now let's go back. Let me delete that one. File, open, reopen that. Please fix automatically. And now it seems to be okay. And you need to know that if you are looking for this type of printer for Preform, Preform is using, in fact, the technology from NetFab inside. Then it's doing this automatic repair from NetFab. The problem is sometimes Preform can't fix the problem, or once the problem is fixed, you have some weird results. Then that's why I prefer using the control. But I know for this kind of Dynamesh model, when there is some issues, most of the time this is just some vertices and things like that. Okay, then I can go here, and you see I have got some nice shape without this kind of very thin areas. I just need to rotate. Let's go more that way. Okay, let's create automatically the supports. Okay, I will try to be quick now, just to start to print. Okay, then let's check again layers by layers. Okay, it's connected. You need to understand that these supports are useful to make the model growing. Like this one, you see this part is alone. Then you need to have a support connected to start the growing process of each layers. But another reason is to give some strength. Oh, you see that. This small part here. Meaning that if I'm printing like that, you will have this part which will grow alone for one layers, and then of course it will be connected after. This is very, very small, really small part, but sometimes it's not that small, and if you leave it like this, it will just stick to the silicone layer on the bottom of the printer. Then with the Form 1.2, you will see after you have a wiper, which is, let's say, mixing the resin for each layer, but also making the silicone layer breathing, and can remove this kind of small particle. But sometimes the wiper is not 100% efficient, and you can have this part just sticking to the silicone layer at the bottom of the resin tank. And by doing that, for the next layer, the laser will just hit this part and won't be able to solidify what is on top. And then you start to have growing holes on the model. And when you're doing that, this is very important to edit your parts. Okay, to go to this, yeah, this is here. Okay, then you can just move that one, move that one. And it's always better to add more supports than saying, okay, I can remove that one, etc. Then it seems to be okay. I prefer to have the other views, in fact. And that's why it's very important to check. It's growing okay. Growing okay. You need to look at both sides. And now everything should be fine. Okay. Then my prints are okay inside of the software. I have set my printer, which is a Form 2 printer with the resin, the resolution. I have the volume of resin which will be used, which is 25 milliliters, which is not that much, to be honest. I have 476 layers, and for the printing time, let's compute that. Then 2 hours and 41 minutes. Then perhaps when I will be done with my personal part after this stream, perhaps it should be okay. Okay, then now I'm done. I can of course save that. Test skirt. Okay, it's saved. And I can start this printing process. Then I click on this big printer, and here I can select the printer I'm using. Right now I have this bustling goat, which is a name, the serial number of my printer. Yeah, this is always an adjective and a name of an animal name for the printer. And you have the resin tank, which is an unknown, because in fact I started to print with this resin tank before. Oops, sorry. I have my gray resin cartridge. Then you have all the information. No, I have my printer. Okay, the test of your print. Okay, yeah, I know my resin tank is unknown anyway, and I can click on send to the printer. Now we'll switch to the other camera. Sorry, I will have some disconnection with the camera because it seems that I have issues to use two cameras at the same time. I click on the send to printer, then just saying that, okay, please don't disconnect the printer. It's generating the file. In fact, it's slicing the files, and after it will send that to the printer. The Form 2 can be connected through Wi-Fi, Ethernet, and USB, if I remember for Ethernet. I'm not sure for you Ethernet, but yes, I think this is all the free solutions. You can track online the prints. Then you have a dashboard at Formlabs. Let me just connect and show you that. Okay. Then you see this is a dashboard where you have some, it was just other stuff from before. My printer, in fact, is really new. It should not be offline, I don't know why. Then you have a way to see your prints, the printer. You have a lot of information just to follow what happens. Yes, I know, my gray, my favorite resin. And you can see for some resin tanks the heat map showing you where are the most parts you print for your model, and you see all these dots. In fact, the more you print on this resin tank, the more the silicone layer will just be used, will be degrade. How can I say that? It will, let's say, just start to kill your resin tank, because your laser is kind of powerful, and then it will burn your silicone layer, and when it will burn, it will make this mark more and more white, and then it will be less and less transparent, and then it will lose in terms of quality. That's why these heat maps are very important. Okay, then let me try to switch to the other webcam. Okay, then right now you see the printer. Sorry, it's slightly out of focus. I don't know why it shouldn't be out of focus. Come on, printer. Okay, sorry for the quality, it's not the same webcam. Then you see you have the printer, which is then ready to be printed. You have a thumbnail of the model right now, and the button which is print now. You have just behind, on top, which is, let me move that way, you have a cartridge of resin, like that. Sorry, you can't really see it. Then the printer told me, oh, cartridge is missing. Then this cartridge, the system is great because it refills the resin tank during the print process. With the Form 1 and Form 1 Plus before, if you were in the need of printing models which were more than 200 millimeters, you had to pause the print, refill manually the printer, and unfortunately it was creating some big layers. I don't know if you see this model, and I don't know the forehead. I don't know if you see that there is a kind of big line. Just, I don't know if you see that, but this big line was because of a refill which was needed, which was not very good. And yes, I will print. Okay, then, sorry, I don't like to open really the printer because of the dust and resin, but what you see right now is inside the printer. You have below the resin tank, where I have already some resin available. You have this wiper. This wiper is just a kind of plastic wiper, which will just go from right to left and back and forth to mix the resin, to make the silicone layer, which is just down the resin tank. At the end, at the bottom of the resin tank, we have this silicone layer. Then just to breathe and to mix everything. And on top of that, you have the building platform, which will just go down. Okay, let me just close that. It may take some time, a little bit at the beginning, because the printer will hit slightly the resin tank. It's very hot in my office and it shouldn't take too much time. I click on this print now. Then it will open the cartridge vent, I don't know how to pronounce that, which is a kind of valve at the end of the bottom of the resin tank, just to allow the resin to hit. I click on this confirm button. And you see that the resin tank is slightly moving. You have the wiper which move. The resin tank, the build platform going down. Okay, it warned me, okay, resin tank warning, blah, 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 etc. I ignore this warning. Yes, In fact, this is the same resin, but I did a manual setting first. That's why. And you see, right now it's hitting the resin, which is at 29.7 degrees Celsius, and it will go up to 31 degrees Celsius. Of course, I can wait for that, or I can start now. Right now, I mean, I'm very close to the temperature, then I will start it. Just to explain you why, is because you need to consider that SLA printing is a kind of chemical process. With a laser, it is optical, chemical. You need to be very accurate, being very attentive, sensitive to, I don't know if sensitive is the best word for that, but you need to be very careful about all of that, because some minor error can make your model just fail. And one of the new things with the Form 2 in opposition to the previous one was to heat the resin, because if the resin is at a higher temperature, the curing process will be easier. In fact, a way to finally cure your model is to use UVs, like the laser, but also to heat your resin when it has been printed. Then, of course, being closer to the curing level will improve the quality of the print. Then let me just click on this Start Now. Oops. I don't have the time to look at that. Now it will fill the tank. You can't see that, unfortunately, but at the end, I don't know if you see my, now you can see my cursor, just on the right, just here at the end, you may see this kind of gray part. In fact, the resin tank is being filled by the cartridge on the background. And now that I allow the printing process to start, the printer will fill the resin tank at the good volume. And for that, it just white the resin tank and the resin inside. And when it will be done, it will be okay to be sure that I have the good volume, etc. It will start to print. Unfortunately, I have no way to increase the speed of this process. That's for me one of the downside of the Form 2, sorry. You have no way to prepare this process before starting to print. Sometimes I would like, okay, I know I will print, let's say in 5 or 10 minutes. Then I would like to ask the printer, please do all your preparation work, like filling the tank and increasing the temperature just before. And when you are doing your first print with a new resin tank and a new cartridge, the time it takes to heat, especially if you're, let's say, in your office, you are at far from the temperature to reach, it takes quite some time. I think the first print I did with the Form 2, I wait something like 1 hour, something like that, which was crazy. You see the wiper is going left and right now multiple times, and now the resin tank is going just down the build platform. Okay, and you see, I don't know if you see that, sorry, on the screen it's not very easy to see, but by moving down, the build platform is just going inside of the liquid resin. And by doing that, of course, the level of resin in the resin tank is going very high. And you need to be very careful with your printer to level it, to have a good level, to be perfectly horizontal in both axes. Because if you don't do that, the risk is when it's wiping or going inside, that your resin may just overflow and going outside of the printer, then it can go to the optics and all these kind of things. That's why it's a good thing that this Form 2 now have an automatic system to fill the resin tank, because it will just avoid this kind of error. The only problem is when you don't prepare well your model and you don't have enough support, or the support just break for whatever reason, for suction cup and all these kind of things, and then just fall down, and the wiper may just move the part outside and putting some resin outside. I didn't have this issue, but I know some users on Formlabs forum had this issue with the printer. Then now it's just the same thing for all the layers, one by one. You don't see that, or it's kind of blurry, but you have the remaining time. You have a kind of disk which is showing inside the disk the current time it takes to finish the current layer, and it's going slowly. and the outside disk is the total time. The first layer, in fact not the only one, but I don't know, something like the 10 first layers takes way more time. The laser is going more back and forth over and over the same layer to be sure that it will really stick to the build platform. And then after it will increase. And something else also which is important to understand is, let me switch back to my Cintiq. Sorry, I'm frozen on the webcam, but you see, for this part, these main layers, it will take quite some time just to ensure the quality of the print. But starting that, it will print pretty quickly. And in fact, between these layers, I mean the first layer and the beginning of the first layers of the model, then you see right now this is 71 layers, because I'm right now in 100 microns. But let me switch to 25 microns. Okay, I start with that, and now if I go to the beginning, now it's 88, 70. This is almost the same. Okay, but Thomas, you told me that if you're switching from 100 microns to 25 microns, you're multiplying by 4 the numbers of layers, because between 100 to 50 microns you have twice more layers, and again twice more layers from 50 to 25 microns, and multiply by 2 you have 4 times more layers. Why I don't see these 4 times layers at this stage? Because the printing process with the Form 2 at least, and the Form 1 Plus, the previous model, it's forcing these first steps to be printing at 100 microns. You don't need to have the resolution to be very high at this level, then you don't care. Okay, and that's why software will then speed this process. Then now you see it's still at layer 1. And let's wait to the end of this layer 1. If you have some questions on the chat, please, this is a good time to ask about that. I'm sorry, you can't see that. Let me switch back to the printer. You see, we see the laser. You see, it was very quick, but if you look at that on the screen, you should see some green parts sometime, which would be printed. And as you can notice, it's not that noisy. You see the laser right now? Yeah, we see some part being printing that way. Then, what I wanted to say, I forgot. Sorry, this is late right now in France. Yeah, you need to understand that there is different resins for the printer, and some of them are good for some stuff and other for other stuff. I know some users are using mainly the transparent resin. This resin, the good thing is, of course, this is transparent. It's great to do some parts which need to have some transparency. This resin has, there is no pigment to change the color, then it's in a way better for the printer, and I think it kills less the silicone layer. At least it kills it slower than resin which are very dark. I'm using a gray resin. I'm using that one because it's really the result is very, very nice. You see this model, you can't really see that because of the webcam resolution, but it's very smooth, it's very matte. I really love this gray resin. And this is a gray V3, and the same one in the printer. I will print everything with this gray V3 anyway. This one is really fantastic. The good thing for that is I'm able to see really directly from the printer, just after cleaning the process, cleaning the resin, that I don't need to put some painting on top of that. Oh, sorry. You see that the resin tank is moving slightly on the side just to unstick the first layer. It's very slow for the first one, just to avoid any kind of issues. Then the build platform is moving up. Now it will sense. You see, you don't see that, but it's sensing the resin just to see if there is no white issue in terms of volumes. and then it will start the process, and after it will just speed up the process. That's why the beginning is always very slow, but again, it's better to wait a little bit and having a process which will be more secure in terms of quality and process. You see the wiper now is just wiping the resin, it's going down. And now let me just look at that. Yeah, it seems to be still slow a little bit. Then while waiting, then about this model, like I said, this is just straight out of the printer. I just clean the liquid resin with the IPA alcohol, but this is straight out of the printer. Now I see the model. While the transparent resin, I need to use some cans of spray of primer. Let me just show you that. Where's my primer? I'm using some, sorry, let me just open the plastic. Okay, this type of primer, and this is Tamiya primer, this is a gray one. This one is very, very thin. Then when you are putting some primer on top of your print, you really see the, it's not very easy to see the gray. This is a light gray. This is a very nice color, and this is great to see the result. And this model I was showing before, in fact, I use this primer. Sorry, this is very bright on the printer. You see the print process is continuing. There is some noise, to be honest, but not that. I mean, you can work with the printer just next to you. If I'm rotating slightly, you see, this is where I'm working. Then the printer is very, very close to my computer, and it's not a problem. And if I have my headset on top of my that I have right now, I don't have any kind of problem with some music in the background. And you see now the second layer has been way faster, and then you will see now it will speed up. Let's see that, but I think the next one should be done soon. I don't think you see the circle just changing. And as soon as you reach the level of the small supports, it's very, very fast. Okay, is there a reason for the cover color, maybe to mask the laser from going out for safety? Yes and no. Yes, because the idea is to protect, from, let's say, for your eyes, because this is, like I said, quite a powerful laser. But the other reason is to protect the resin from UVs, and this is a UV protector. And as you can see behind, I have a window. Then that's why the curtain is always closed, in fact, because of the printer. Because the resin is very sensitive to the sun. If you, I don't have it here, but I have a kind of a laser pen, a UV laser pen that I'm using to solidify some resin, sometimes just to glue some parts. And if you just put the laser on top of the resin, it solidifies very quickly. And if you have the sun going on the resin, or even some light, because you have some UVs, even little bits, then it's dangerous for your resin. That's why this cover is protecting your resin first, and of course your eyes from the UVs. Duke, for the Tamiya primer, in fact, I purchased a big stock of 10 cans at the same time, and I had a good price for that. But one by one, it's very expensive, especially in Europe, in France at least. But I'm using that a lot, and I have an airbrush, and I bought some primer to use with the airbrush, which is in fact way more cheaper, but the finishing is not the same. And now you see the process is way faster than it was for the previous layers. Then it takes something like 1 minute per layer. Right now we are at layer 3. Let me switch back to this one, layer 3. You see, sorry, let me switch back to 0.1. You see, right now we are at this stage, and it will really speed up when it will be at yes, layer 21. Then we won't look at the printer for the whole day or night, wherever you're located. Anyway, yeah, you can do some experiment with the resin. I mean, it's very interesting. Just to answer your question, what I am printing, let me switch back to ZBrush. Where are you? Live boolean. Let me unhide everything and just hiding the cubes. Sorry, you have a small connector here. This is what I'm printing right now. In fact, I'm not printing the whole model, but this is just a part as a test of the model. And again, I'm always doing this kind of test prints. I prefer spending a little bit of resin and time than trying to print the whole model and noticing that it doesn't fit. Or even if I'm sending like I'm thinking, it doesn't work. Or I need to spend a couple of days just to send that. I mean, it's useless. Then I'm doing these kind of things. The only downside, and I'm not sure, but I will try for the next time, or perhaps on my personal stream, I don't know yet. I will try to show you the process about cleaning the print. The problem is I need to do that in my kitchen, and it may be tricky about streaming and all these kind of things. But I will try, because this is really a part of the process, and it's interesting to see really until the end how it's done. Anyway, yeah, then it's interesting to see. And you are right now in the chat Polyfusion, salut Polyfusion, who is doing also a lot of prints and stuff with for the real world, molding, and with a form too as well. Then you have some good knowledge about all of that. Is the webcam okay? Okay, I was thinking it was not working anymore. Then you see now layer 5, and we can wait a little bit. Anyway, do you have some questions so far, or I will end the stream now and I will do something like a 5-minute break, and I will continue on my personal stream Twitch channel, which is at Polysculpt. Let me give you the link. Then if you want to follow, just after that, I will continue the preparation for 3D printing. I may talk a little bit less because I want to move forward, because while explaining, of course, I'm way slower than I will do without talking, and of course on top of that in English, which makes things a lot slower for me. Then I will continue. My goal is to, there is another stream, which is, my next stream is the next Saturday. My goal is to have, I hope, everything be printed, or almost big part of be printed. I will try to see if I can at least perhaps record as a movie the cleaning process. I don't know yet, at least to show you all the assembly, the sanding process, the tools that I'm using to move forward. And after, I will have a lot less time because I will be very close to my trip to Japan. Anyway, yeah, Polyfusion, that's great if you are able to start your stream very soon. Okay, no questions so far? About the printer, about the printing process, etc. Just ask me. I'll try to find better webcam for the next time, because this one really not as good as the other one. Oh, you see, this type of bottle are the bottle for the Form 1 Plus. It's not a cartridge, and that's why I have this message for the resin tank. because I had this resin before. I wanted to finish this bottle of resin. Anyway. Yeah, I have the Mangalore from the Fifth Element, which is a very old print, which was something like 7 or 8 years ago. This one, which is pretty heavy, which is a Mangalore from the Fifth Element. This is a model I did very long time ago, which is in French one of the most popular tutorial I did, and I even have some people from Japan who thank me about doing this tutorial. It was just in French, but they followed that to learn ZBrush, and I've been able to have this one print in color, and there is some wax finishing on top of it, which is very clean. It was with a Z-Corp printer some time ago. Now I think this is Z-Corp, I think, which company? Is it Stratasys? I don't know, but it has been purchased by another company. This is, you know, this powder color printers, which is great for large print like that, but for small prints, I think I have it in small. Yeah, you see, I have also a small version, which looks nice because these colors are kinda dark, but for bright colors, I have another one. Where is the other one? Yeah, no, it's not very accessible, but well. I won't advise someone to print in color. To be honest, it's better to have some gray colors, but these prints in color are not that good, I think. You see, this one is the Pixologic logo. This is quite old, but you see the color, which doesn't look which doesn't look nice with the webcam. In fact, they are very close to the real color. And why it was a bright orange, and on the back there is a Pixologic logo, which is almost not visible, and it's quite big. Then if you want to have bright and flashy colors, don't try color prints. Just something which, in fact, you need to understand that these printing colors are working with CYMK colors, sorry, because I need to do the conversion from French to English, CYMK colors, and if you are saturating one color more than 100%, then you will have issues with your colors, and you need to be very careful. This one is another model I did, which is quite fun, but I've been very careful with the color. It has been done by a sculptor. It was for a tutorial online, but I'm trying to avoid as much as possible the colors. You have that one from a Japanese artist, but it has been sanded and it has been very careful. But it works for simple model, but if you want to have very nice details, don't go for colors. CMYK. Yeah, this tutorial Hopla Boom from the Mangalore was on my website, and now it's on YouTube. Anyway. More Arcana, I've been thinking for huge figures would be good idea just to make just a shell with a 3D printer and then fill it with plaster, for example. It depends what you mean by huge figures. If it's, let's say, full scale, sorry, let's say 1 scale. In fact, in terms of quality, you can use just a FDM printer, and the FDM printer you have some infill automatically inside, then there is no need. And after, the bigger it is, of course, you can just do the shell outside and filling, but why filling can be just useless, depending if you want to add some white. And you see my door, I can't switch back, but remember I have my door of my office. I really want to do this Han Solo full-size print. Where is my Han Solo print? Come on, where are you? I don't know, it's not in my office. I have the Han Solo in carbonate, and I want to just do that as a door cover. at the full size, at one scale, and I will do that with the FDM printer. Because of this scale, there is no need to do SLA. SLA printing, like the font will be way too much expensive. Yeah, I have quite some nice pieces, and you don't see all the figurines. So I don't want to show you the, you see I have, sorry about my face, you see I have models here, I have on the back, oops, sorry, like that, and I have all the mess all around. This one is printing in color, this pink one. You see I have quite some stuff, which are some ZBrush, made with ZBrush, like this one, a Japanese artist. Some of them are not, and anyway. I have quite some stuff in my office. I have also some prints on this area. Anyway. You could do a PVA print filled with resin. A PVA, for your information, for those of you who don't know that, this is a material used by SLA printer, which can be dissolved by water, and then you can use that as a kind of mold, perhaps, and after filling with something else. The problem from my point of view is it depends on the quality you want to do and what you are filling, because you need to use then FDM printer, and if you are printing big stuff, then you need to have a thick layers for printing, and these thick layers, unfortunately, you will need some sanding after. Then perhaps the process will take more time in cleaning what you do. I mean, need to do some experiments. And yes, you can see some Miku. We have some of them which has been done with ZBrush, like this one. Let me just, I have so much dust now in the office. Yeah, this one has been made with ZBrush. This is a Max Factory figurine from Miku. Miku, this is a character. So Miku is a character from originally a video game, a music video game. Now it's a kind of virtual idol. She's doing some holographic concerts, even in the US, and I think also in Europe. She's quite popular. I have 3 figurines of her. I don't play the game, but I really like the design of the character. And I saw that the prototype when visiting Good Smile Factory and Good Smile Company and Max Factory in Japan. And now, in fact, for figurines, there is a lot more ZBrush artists. A lot of people are switching from traditional to digital in Japan, and that's why this Wonder Festival trade show where we are going with Pixologic, with a booth, it's crazy what you see these Japanese artists doing with traditional stuff, and now with ZBrush, it's very impressive. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Let's leave the printer. I will switch back to my personal stream in 10 minutes roughly. Then if you want to continue to follow me, I will be back in ZBrush. In fact, I will leave the printer, continue to work. Then I will just edit my model, continue the whole process. I know there is some French in the chat right now. I will be able to answer and talk in English and French at the same time. Then if you want to continue, just join me on twitch.tv/polysculpts. And anyway, we'll be able more to talk eventually if you want. Okay, then thank you very much. Please continue to join ZBrushLIVE. There is so many fantastic presentation from a lot of different style, but different artists. We have new artists who joined recently ZBrushLIVE. We will use this channel, of course, more and more. Then look at the agenda just below the screen. Subscribe to the newsletter. This is a great way to be aware of the new videos that we put after on YouTube. And anyway, for me, then you can feel free to follow me And anyway, see you later. Bye bye.